But let's begin with some fresh reaction to one of the most important global stories right now. It's the battle brewing between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. I asked the UAE's AI minister about Elon Musk's bid for OpenAI and how investors should be looking at the global AI race between the US and China. Listen.
Today we're moving at such a pace where people think that it's a unipolar or bipolar world. As the dust settles and we actually start to understand where the value is going to be derived, I think the value is going to be derived in the application layer. It's going to be derived from actual economic returns related to the cost to build these systems. And in that sense, you're going to realize that the world is multipolar. Think about the UAE and what can bring to the table. We probably have the most valuable logistics data in the world. If you want to build a model that supports in logistics, then the UAE is the place to be, and it's the place to work with, and it's the place to invest in. If you're talking about real estate and construction, for example, then we are an important player, or tourism, for example. If you look at cybersecurity and AI in that space, then there are certain countries that are better suited maybe than the US, especially those that are more threatened and smaller and so on and so forth. So I genuinely believe that as the hype starts to cool down, we're going to realize that each and every single region has certain advantages. Now, it's not going to be equal. I don't think it's going to be apples to apples comparisons. But certain places are going to develop the models, certain places are going to be the hubs to deploy these models, and certain places are going to be a little bit of both.
How do you think the battle for OpenAI is going to play out? You could argue that this is probably the most important strategic artificial intelligence asset globally today as it stands. How does this battle between Musk and Altman end, in your view?
So I don't think that the only conversation we need to be having is OpenAI. So even if you look at, for example, today, the potential of OpenAI that people are talking about is the potential that it has to disrupt Google and Google search. If you look at internet traffic, Google is at least, if I'm not mistaken, 12 or 13 times that of OpenAI as it currently stands, maybe even more. So there's still a long way to go. And I don't think Google is going to just sit there and wait for it to happen. I think they're going to innovate. I think they're going to iterate. They're going to improve. So it's a bit early. What OpenAI and ChatGPT was able to do is it was able to spark a sort of frenzy that others are trying to catch up right now or pivot towards what they were able to do. You see the new reasoning models are actually quite impressive, and the deep research models as well that OpenAI has announced are actually quite impressive. But the time to emulate and deploy something similar has been reduced drastically. So I don't know how long this advantage is going to be maintained. Now, sometimes when we ask these questions, we identify OpenAI as the only player. I don't think they are the only player. I think we will have emergence of other companies that are going to be as important, and especially in very specific domains.
Let's look at what the UAE is doing in this space as well. Mubadala, one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the country and in the region, has MGX, which is of course an active investor in OpenAI. Do you think we're going to see perhaps a day or even an era where sovereign wealth funds like those in the UAE are bidding more aggressively for these AI and infrastructure assets, just given how valuable they are to a nation moving forward?
So we are investing on that front. I think that we did that successfully on the renewables. For example, you see the investments that the UAE has made with Masdar, for example. Today we are probably the biggest player in the renewable energy space. I think on AI infrastructure, we are going to be a key player. But you need to think about the UAE's trajectory. We don't think in 1 year intervals. We don't think in 10-month intervals. We actually think very, very long term. And I think the infrastructure that we're investing in is going to be relevant even in 5 years or 10 years. So Mubadala's investment has two fronts to it. It is not just an emotional decision of us being interested in AI, want to go into that. We believe that there are economic returns, and Mubadala's sole purpose is to create the economic returns with the impact that they strive to create. So I think AI's infrastructure is going to give us both of that. It's going to give us both the impact and at the same time the returns that we believe we aspire to get.